What a pleasure it is to welcome on Peter Queally, who takes on Patricky Pitbull right here in Dublin on November the 5th in the 3 Arena. Hopefully, Peter, first of all, my friend, how are you? Good to speak to you as always, man.
I'm very good, Niall. Thanks for having me on. It's a rare appearance for me on an interview, as you probably know. So you're getting a good one here. I don't do many.
Good stuff. Appreciate it, man. But how's everything with you? Obviously, been a very, very sort of tough number of months, 18 months plus for everyone. How's everything going with you?
Yeah, all good. I haven't had too bad effects from it, really. I had some self-inflicted bad effects just when I broke my hand, but that was nothing to do with COVID or whatever. So I've had a tough time because of that. But the actual pandemic and the lockdowns and stuff didn't affect me too much. So I've been blessed that way. I'm okay.
Peter, I don't want to sort of get too much into it in terms of the government here and how they've handled stuff. I know you've been pretty critical, and I have as well, and a lot of other people in this country. But do you really feel like it's sort of a weird one? You know, I'm not too sure whether this card's going to go ahead because we, you know, on a daily basis, we see it in the UK now. There's talk of another lockdown. We've seen to sort of follow suit with the UK do. It's a little bit of a tricky one whether this card is definitely going to go ahead in Dublin, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If you'd asked me that a month ago or 6 weeks ago, I probably would have said it's not going to go ahead. But now I do think it will go ahead. Don't even ask me why I think that. I just feel like it's just going to go ahead. I feel like people have just. I think the government are a little bit afraid now. I think people have had enough, and they can sense that people have had enough. And if they try and pull the rug out from under us again, I think you will get people in the streets just ending the pandemic themselves. So I think the government know this, to be honest. And I think we're coming to an end, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But in terms of yourself, is it a pain in the ass or not having that, you know, 100% certainty that the cards, you know, might be moved somewhere else?
No, it's not. Listen, I really want to fight in Dublin. It'll be a big advantage to me fighting in Dublin. I love fighting in Dublin, all those things, but I will be fighting him somewhere. I've been told that, regardless of what happens. So it'll be on some ship off the west coast of Ireland or something. I'll be fighting him, but I will be fighting him. So I'm ready to fight him, and that's it. So I'm praying it's going to be in Dublin. And I do think it will be there. But if it's not, it's not going to affect me too much, to be honest. You know me, I've done this for a long time, and I've done it in different countries for a long time. So it's not a big deal for me.
I feel like this is going to be a really special night, Peter, if it goes ahead and we get a full crowd in there and a full house. We know how much the 3 Arena means to you. We've seen the scenes. We've, you know, the walkout zombies just been incredible when you've come out in Bellator. It's replicated, you know, Ash Daly's days when she first did it. It's just been absolutely incredible. But it's going to be a special night because we haven't had a show on here in literally like 2 years with a crowd.
Yeah.
People are really getting hungry for MMA back in this country. And, you know, even, you know, the Cage Warriors card that's coming up, I think Paul Hughes is headlining against Morgan Chapa. I think a lot of people are even going to travel over for that. It's going to be a special night when Bellator are back here in Dublin, isn't it?
Yeah, like people are craving anything, Niall, at this point. Do you know what I mean? They just want a night out. So, especially then MMA fans, this is a big deal for them. It's a really big show. Even when there's other things available, Bellator do such a good show. People really look forward to it. So I think this time, as you said, the appetite for it is just going to be crazy. And in general, like you said, Paul Hughes is fighting it. That's a good fight, actually. But people are very excited about that one. I do think people will travel to that one. I've heard of a few people that are going to try and go to that one. So, you know, like I said, it's just people are dying for anything. But MMA fans are dying for fights now. So I think it's going to be, if it's possible, I think this walkout will be the craziest of all, hopefully. So it's going to be good. I can't wait.
Patricky Pitbull Part 2 in Dublin's 3 Arena coming into enemy territory. It's going to be absolutely insane, in my opinion. Let's get to that, Peter. Yeah. First of all, the fight itself, the first one, you know, a lot of people sort of, I don't think maybe gave you enough credit for what you did on the ground, and your work with your elbows were absolutely fantastic in that fight. And often, I think in MMA, you know, even in terms of the judges, they don't score it often when guys are landing from their back. First of all, why did you accept the rematch? Do you feel as though you have something to prove, a point to prove?
No, I don't feel like I have anything to prove. I accepted the rematch because that's the smartest fight to take. He's still magically ranked number 1. Yeah. I don't know how. So it's so weird. It's so stupid. But he's ranked number 1. So that's the one to take. I might as well fight him again. There's no point fighting anyone else. He's top of the tree still somehow, even though I beat him. So I accepted it because it's the fight to take. It guarantees me the fight against the champion if I beat him for two reasons. Number one, he's number one. He's number one. That's kind of whatever. But he's number one, okay? And then number two, he's the brother of the champion. So it's pretty much a guaranteed title shot for me after I beat him. So that's why I accepted it. I feel like I have nothing to prove. I beat him fair and square. I will say this. I understand his frustration. If it was me, I would be going ballistic if I got stopped over a cut. And I understand why he was so angry about that. And he was tough enough to continue, and he would have continued. But it wasn't going to get any better for him in the third round. The tide was already shifting, and now he had a fucking hole in his head.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you feel
I was going to kill him in the third round?
The momentum was really turning in that fight, wasn't it? It felt that way.
It was completely turning, yeah. Even if you watched the fight, you would see it was turning. But if you were in the fight, you would really feel how it was turning. You can sense when someone's starting to get tired, and when someone's starting to kind of, the fight isn't really in him as much as it was anymore. And I was feeling all these things off him. So I was actually a bit disappointed, to be honest, that it didn't go to the third round, because I knew I either would have stopped him in the third round, or it would have been an absolute bloody mess and a big victory for me at the end of the fight. So it was going to go my way anyway. So I feel like I have nothing to prove. But
are you pissed
he's
off?
The fight take.
Are you pissed off with maybe then sort of, there was a lot of sort of questions from, our colleagues in the media and stuff like that, and a lot of comments online. Did that get underneath your skin a little bit maybe then?
Yeah, it did. But to be honest, I felt like there was my experience. I always judge it off Twitter, and what I'm seeing on that. And my experience from that was actually, stop crying, Patricky, you lost. That was kind of what I felt was the general message. So there was a bit. What annoyed me was the rankings, to be honest. That's done by media members, and that really pissed me off, to be honest. I was just like, do you even know what fighting is? Whoever was in charge of that, it's like, I beat him. I'm better than him. I beat him, and that's it. I should take his place. And I felt like they, for whatever reason, it was just annoying. You know what I mean? It was just very frustrating that I didn't go to number one there.
Why do you think that is? I have the rankings up there. It's obviously, his brothers ahead of him, Sidney Outlaw, Benson Henderson, and then you come after that. I find it absolutely wild, considering it was, it's like they're sort of taking away a valid victory from you in so many words, is what they've done.
It was so stupid. I spoke to some. Now, it's not the people within Bellator do the rankings. It's put out to a panel of media members. But I did air my frustrations with Bellator people, and they said how it's done, how the media guys do it, is that which is retarded, but it's done over.
Myself and PT they asked myself and PT to be involved. We said no, because I knew shit like this would just happen. Do you know what I mean?
Well, do you know what? You should have been involved. I'd probably be number one now, maybe, if you were involved. So, but fuck you and PT. You should have been there now for me. But basically, they said that they don't just it's done over the course of your career or something, like it's your span of work over years, kind of. That's so stupid. It's so stupid. I beat him. I'm better than him. That's it. You're only as good as your last fight, and that's it. So that was the explanation I was given, that it's just because I beat him, I don't go to number one, because that's not how it works. But that is exactly how it works.
Yeah.
So
it's here
very
now.
Frustrating, but
MMA is here and now. Over the body of your career is pretty wild, in my opinion. Listen to me.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm maybe not explaining that perfectly. It wasn't the body of your career, but you get what I mean.
Like, I get what you mean. Over a certain amount of fights and stuff like that, it's probably done on a point system. That's why, listen, as I said, fuck that. I don't want to get involved.
Do you know what was really even more stupid then? Initially, I only went to number 6. I was number 6 for some reason. And then I didn't fight at all after that for a number of months, obviously. And I magically went to number 5 and then number 4. So it was like the media were starting to get embarrassed or something then, that they didn't put me higher, and they started creeping me up the rankings then. It was even more bizarre. So
and listen,
to be honest.
I agree with you. I think it's, I do generally think the rankings are important. I think they've only sort of become important over the last number of years, after we saw, I think it was in Brooklyn at UFC 223, when obviously the main event fell out between I think it was Habib and Tony Ferguson, and then obviously Anthony stepped in, and there was all sorts of changes. And Paul Felder was actually about to get a fight at one point, but the New York Commission wouldn't let him fight because he wasn't ranked. He was 16 instead of 15. He wasn't actually in the official ranking. So they actually do matter, and they can become quite important down the line. So interesting enough, and I think they sort of need to sort that out, because it is pretty ridiculous that you're sitting 4 and he's sitting number 1. But I have to ask you, after the fight, there was obviously a few words between, you and his brother and a little bit of stuff. Did that spill out backstage? Because we know there is a lot of beef there between you guys.
No, it didn't. Actually, the opposite. The opposite happened. Basically, what the beef was I went over just to kind of, just speak to Patricky a little bit or whatever after the fight. And then Patricio was kind of shouting at me from the cage, saying it was an illegal elbow. So I was like, no, it wasn't an illegal elbow. And he was like, no, it was illegal. You see the replay, you're going to see it was illegal. And I said, okay, me and you will watch the replay together after in backstage. And if it was illegal, I'll admit it was illegal. And he actually said, okay. And he fist pumped me, and that was fine. And then, in fairness to him, he came up to me backstage and said it was a legit elbow. And he just fist pumped me and walked away again. So it was like he was actually he was fine. He was fine about it. He watched the replay himself, obviously, and so it was legal.
Yeah, it was perfectly fine. There was absolutely
nothing
wrong
whatever.
with it.
I have no problem with him doing that. The passions are high. It's your brother. It's your teammate. It's whatever. It's hard when you're cornering someone like that. You don't always see everything that happens. Of course. So I've no ill will over that. It's whatever.
Do you feel as though maybe with the two brothers, there seemed to be maybe people were giving them maybe a little bit too much respect over the years, especially Patrizio? We obviously saw what happened with AJ McKee. Was there guys going in there maybe, beaten before they got in there with them?
I think so. Because that was one thing I felt I didn't do. I went in and you saw how I fought him. I went in and fought him. And most people, they don't fight him. They get on their bike and they try and stay away from them and but this just kind of, it almost draws them onto you when they see this fear, I think. But my plan was, you know me, I'm not afraid to fight with anyone. So I certainly wasn't going to be afraid to fight with him. But I went in and I just fought him on his own game. And it was tough. He hits very hard and I felt his shots and whatever. But as I thought would happen, as the fight went on, those shots didn't feel as hard anymore. And he was the one backing up now in the second round. And I was the one landing the shots. And I was the one taking control of the fight. So this is exactly what I thought would happen. And that's what happened. So, I was pretty happy with my performance. I feel like I fought him the right way. And I think you're 100% right that people do almost beat themselves before they fight them. But that's a credit to them. They've knocked so many people out, and they've instilled this fear into people that, you don't maybe fight your fight with them.
Is that air of arrogance maybe gone out after the last sort of couple of fights, obviously with, AJ beating him and you getting a W over him? It seems like there's maybe a little less talk from the guys after those two losses. Yeah,
I think they're two tough guys. I don't think they'll lose confidence, but I think Patricky will. I think he maybe took me a little bit lightly in the first one. I think he thought he was just going to blast me. To be honest, that's what I felt, and he'll certainly think differently this time because he knows damn well that how that fight went and that I was going to stop him, or at least, bludgeon him badly in the third round. So,
Peter, it always strikes me with you, and as you said, we did a little chat off air there that your cardio's through the roof. You have to stay out of the gym because you actually do too much, and it's testament to you and the way you fight. And I think we saw it in that fight. I think it was coming into that second round, you were shouting at him, go, come on. There was a lot of back and forth. You love that though, don't you? You just love grindy, gritty, deep wars. And we saw it against obviously Ryan Scope as well. Ryan was getting the better of you, and you came to life and then finished. It was an incredible performance.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, Noel. I tell you, and that's why, whatever about me and Patricky, we're not best mates and we never will be. But I tell you what, I would fight him every fight for the rest of my career and be happy about it because that's the kind of fight he'll give you. And I like this. So it's brilliant. And I really can't. I'm so excited about this one for the Tree Arena because I think it's going to be absolutely bananas. Can you imagine this fight with the crowd? It's going to be so good because we're just going to be trying to kill each other. Because in fairness to him, I don't expect him to change his game plan. I think he'll even be more trying to get me out of there quick in this time. So I think it's going to be an even more hectic fight.
Well, I think you'll want to do that as well, though. You'll want to make a statement, prove all those doubters, anyone who's doubting you wrong, and go, two fingers up to them and go out in the front foot. But is it about, maybe you tell me if I'm wrong here, maybe you start maybe a little bit slowly in fights, as you said to it, like you started coming into the fight again. I noticed it was the same against, Ryan Scope. You come into it the more the fight goes on. How important for you in this fight is it that you come out of the blocks all guns blazing, because he's going to come at you, I feel?
It's not that important, because with him, what you have to be careful of is his best period of the fight is the first 3 or 4 minutes, and this is when he carries all his power. And if you can actually get through that, he's not as dangerous then. And that's what happened in the last fight. He won the first round. I saw one judge give me the first round. I wouldn't have been mad if you gave him the first round. I thought it was very, very close. But then when the fight starts to settle down, that's when you see who's the better fighter and who's there till the end and who's going to win the fight. But what I was hoping for with this was, and I was really pushing for it, but it probably won't happen now. I wanted it to be a 5-round fight.
Wow.
And I think that would have been a great spectacle for the crowd. And if he's crying about that, it wasn't fair and he didn't beat me, well, okay, prove it now. You have 5 rounds to beat me, and we can see who the better man is. And that's what I wanted, to have a 5-round fight. It's a number one contender fight. Make it 5 rounds and see and really settle this now and see who the better guy is. So I'm still holding out a bit of hope for that they might maybe do that. It's not completely dead from what I hear.
Wow.
About. So hopefully we'll see.
That would be brilliant, and I do agree with that. I call for 5-round fights, co-mains, whatever, in the UFC if they were of relevance going forward for a title. And they obviously started doing that, which I thought was great. So, have you actually spoken to the Bellator brass about that potentially happening? As you said there, you haven't ruled out it fully.
I've requested that. So it's right now it's a 3-round fight, but I wouldn't completely rule out it being a 5-round fight.
Amazing.
But right now it's 3, so we'll see. But that's the way it should be. Like you said,
it's a no-brainer.
It's a big fight. Yeah, I can see why Bellator don't even do 5-round main events, which is and I can see why. The reason you don't want to do a 5-round main event is because sometimes 5 rounds guys fight differently, and it can slow the fight down, and it's not as good of a fight. But when you've got someone like me and him, you could fight 1 round or 10 rounds. It's going to be a good fight. It doesn't matter. Like, I think you'll agree with that. So it's
I totally agree with that.
Putting this 5 rounds, So
I totally agree with that, because we'll probably go on at the end of it if it goes all 3. Why didn't we get another 2 rounds of that?
I think we will. I think we might. Because I can see this being a very, very tough fight, a very exciting, tough fight, and it might go the distance, but it'll be exciting. But it'll be a shame if it does go that way, and you're like, oh, we should have had 2 more rounds. And
if the last one's anything to go by, we're in for fireworks. Listen, what was said in because you said obviously you're exchanging words in there. What was it said? Was it just usual banter?
No, there was a few things said. The first thing that was said was, remember he said I poked him in the eye, but I didn't, and the replay proved I didn't. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And
then that was fine, but then they stopped because I wasn't sure if I poked him in the eye or not. But I kind of knew I didn't poke him in the eye. But I was like, okay, whatever, maybe I did. So we stopped, and he took his break, and that was it. But then a minute later, he did it again, and I fucking knew I didn't poke him in the eye this time. And I said, no fucking poke, fight. And I went to punch him, and then he was very quick to punch back. There was nothing wrong with him because I didn't poke him in the eye. So that was the first thing. And then when he took me down at the end of the first round, and you can't really hear it on the audio. I wish you could, because he calls himself the king of KOs. This is what he calls himself, And he was saying all this bollocks before the fight, kind of saying his manager actually tagged me in an Instagram story saying I would shoot first and all this, and do you want to have a bet who will shoot first and all this kind of stuff. And then of course he shot first, and I said to him, what's going on? I said, I thought you were the king of KOs. and I was slapping him in the face as I was saying it. And then I was staring at Patricio and his manager. You could see me smiling as I was doing it as well, so that was funny as well. And then in the second round, I could hear his manager calling for a double leg takedown. And I just said to him, no. I said, no takedown. Let's fight. I said to him, let's fight. That's all I said to him. He didn't reply to me any of the times, but so that's all that was being said. It was just kind of whatever, bit of fun. It was fine.
Do you enjoy the mental games? I feel as though you've sort of got into them more as you got older in your career, that you have a little bit more fun with it and you don't take it maybe as serious as you used to.
Definitely. I used to take it so seriously, and now I'm just like, oh, I can't wait. I'm just going to enjoy myself now and fun. Do you know what I do now, Niall? I don't even worry about winning anymore. Do you know what I always do? I'm not even religious, right? But I always say a little prayer on fight day to whoever, and I don't even ask that I win. I just ask that it's fucking bananas and it's a really good fight and that no one gets badly hurt, but it's a really good fight. And that's all I want now. So I'll be asking for the same thing again this time, that it's just crazy. I just want it to be really good, especially with this crowd. I feel like this has all the violence. Do you follow Capoza on Twitter?
I do indeed, yeah.
You do. Yeah, so do you ever hear him with the violence weight belt and all this kind of stuff? So I've said to him, this is the inaugural violence weight belt. Bellator violence weight belt, and I think it has all the makings that it could be that. So,
Peter, you're getting me excited for it already. I know, good. I can't wait. It's going to be an absolute barn burner, and obviously James's fight against Patricky Mix is going to be a cracker as well.
Yeah, that's a really good one too.
Honestly, I think it's on paper it's the best co-main and main Bellator have put on in Ireland, in my opinion. But yeah, Peter, seriously though, a win here does solidify a title shot. I think, regardless, doesn't it?
100%. I mean, you tell me. I can't see anything else after that. Yeah.
How do you feel? Obviously, we mentioned a couple of minutes ago. Let's talk a little bit about his brother Patrizio and that fight against AJ McKee. I know it was down at 145 pounds. AJ, I think, we've known AJ for a long, long time since that incident with James in Dublin, and even before that, and we knew he was going to be a stud and a quality fighter. But I wasn't surprised particularly, but maybe I think a number of people were surprised in the fashion that fight ended and how dominant it was for AJ McKee. What were your thoughts on Patrizio's performance?
I was surprised. I actually thought Patricio would probably win that. And that's not to say AJ isn't an animal. I think he's deadly. I really like him as well. Yeah. But I thought Patricio probably would have got him. And I would actually... I felt bad for him, to be honest. When a fight ends really fast like that, you're always kind of like, I wanted to see a bit more and see them get a bit tired and see who the tougher guy is and see who's the more skilled guy. So I wouldn't mind seeing that again. I think Patricio could beat him, and I think AJ could beat him again. I think it's a really good. I would like to see that again, to be honest. I think they could run that one back. Yeah.
No, definitely, I agree with you. I think obviously there's not many options for AJ at 45 now at the moment.
Yeah.
For you, is this a career-defining fight? It sort of feels that way in terms of the title, because you've come up so far and you're right knocking on the door now for a title shot. Is this one of those ones where you go all your money into it for the win?
Oh, 100%. It's like, it's such a bloody slog. Any fighter will tell you to climb the ladder like this. It's so hard. And when you're here, you need to deliver now and actually close out the deal. I've kind of climbed the ladder a few times in different circumstances in my career and sometimes failed at the final step. So this one, I need to get this one done. And as you said, it is a career-defining moment. It'll be the making of me, of my career. I'll fight for the belt after this. I think I will beat Patricio pretty easily. To be honest, he's very small. I was shocked at how small he is when I met him, actually. Yeah, so I think I have a good style for him as well. Someone that small, and I'm in his face, pressuring him. I just think I will beat him. So if I can get this one out of the way, I really do see myself being, Bellator world champion next year. So it's just all riding on this one. And as you said, I need to deliver.
Are you hitting your prime, Peter?
Yeah, I feel like I am. I'm weird, Niall. I'm like every. I feel like I'm hitting my prime every year, but then I'm just getting fitter and stronger and better. Kind of honestly, it's like, I know that's kind of cliched. I felt better than I ever felt and all this, but I genuinely do. And I do a lot of the cardio work I do.
It's crazy. I was saying that to you all. Your cardio is insane, and it's just getting better.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's
my biggest strength. Yeah,
you know, that's your biggest strength, and even mentally when you're going in with that cardio, and we saw in you know, I mentioned there the Ryan Scow fight, you know, the last fight against Patricky. You come into it more, and it's just like you actually just get going, and you seem to motor on across the finish line. It's mental.
Yeah, that's interesting what you said there about my cardio and my mental strength. It's really, like, I think most elite athletes will agree with me when I say this. You're not when you get to this stage, you're not really training your cardio anymore. You're training your mind. Your mind is often kind of disguised as cardio. We're all in shape. You see us. We're all in shape. We're all fit guys, but it's really the guys with the very strong minds that can keep pushing, because we're all tired in the fights. You know what I mean? We're very tired, but you just block it out and you keep pushing. So I feel like that's actually what's improving. I'm getting calmer and more strong in my mind as my career is going on, and as I'm getting older. So this is kind of masquerading as cardio.
Did you maybe dismiss that in the past?
Yeah, I used to always. I got very good advice one time from David Mullins. He's a kind of an SBG guy. He does a bit of sports psychology and stuff and whatever. And it was just, I wasn't really, you know, getting a sports psychologist. It was more like kind of a bit of a buddy telling me something or whatever. But he said to me, I used to always actually, and this is probably why I'm so good at my cardio, I always fear getting tired in fights. Okay. This is my biggest fear, that I would get tired. Because any fighter will tell you this is the loneliest place on earth when you're fighting and you've run out of steam. It's horrific. And it happened to me in my first loss. It was in I fought that guy Chris Boujard. I don't know if you remember him. He's a French guy. I fought him, and I feel like I was a vastly better fighter than him, but I took it on short notice. Didn't take him seriously at all. Thought I would just kill him, and I didn't. And I got tired, and that was it. And he beat me, fair and square. So ever since then, I really focused on my cardio. But what that guy said to me was, he said, you shouldn't fear getting tired. For someone that works as hard as I do, you should embrace getting tired, because I know. And I do that now. I know when I'm getting tired, what's the other guy feeling? Because he doesn't train as hard as I do. So I knew when I was starting to get tired in the second round in that last fight, I knew Patricky, all I had to do was push him over the edge now, that he's gone. If I'm feeling tired, he's ready to just quit. And that's what I do now. I'm almost racing in the fight to get tired. I know if I'm pushing the pace enough that I'm starting to feel fatigued, that this motherfucker is dead. Like, he has nothing left probably. So it's a kind of I've switched it in my mind now, where it's a thing I embrace now. When I start getting tired, now the fight's starting. Yes. That's all I think about it. When I'm starting to feel tired, I'm like, yes, brilliant. Let's go. Let's finish this. Let's fight now. Let's the real fight start now.
Amazing.
I'm a psycho.
No. Honestly, mate, it totally makes sense. It really does, considering you know how hard you work, but you obviously have to rest as well. You said that, like, that. You know, guys obviously have to get your R&R in as well. It's very, very important at the top level of mixed martial arts. Has that been something like you sort of have to stay out of the gym? Like, you know, Brendan Loughnane's like that. I remember chatting to Brendan. He was like, with the PFL tournament, he didn't know when to rest, when to go to the gym. That's very much the case with you as well. You sort of have to pull yourself back from the gym at times, don't you?
Yeah, what I've gotten better at as well is what Conor used to always call it, anxiety training, where you train because you just feel like you should be training. You don't need to train. Yeah. You've trained hard that day, but you're just at home and you're like, I should train more, but you don't need to. And I've gotten a lot better at that now, of not doing this anxiety training, as you used to call it, where you just kind of need to train. So I've gotten way better at that, and I feel it helps. You know, you don't want to overtrain either and burn the candle at both ends, and you just kill yourself. So it's all, you know, as I've gone on, I feel like I'm getting better. I feel like my skills maybe are improving very slowly over the last few years, but I feel like I'm learning how to use my skills at a massive rate. You know what I mean? I've learned how to use what I have way better over the last few years, and I think that's why I'm improving more than anything.
I think it's shown, definitely. And listen, I have to ask you one on that. You mentioned Conor McGregor there. You know, obviously very, very unfortunate what happened in the Dustin Poirier fight. I know you're out in the camp with the guys in California. First of all, you know, Conor talked about it, and I think John did, and everyone in the camp, and maybe yourself, that that it was just a brutal camp, getting away from everything, isolating yourself from the camp. Was it really that brutal? Was it one of those ones?
Yeah, it was a tough camp, and he. What I really felt, I felt for him during the camp in that he was dealing with injuries. I know he was vocal about this himself with his foot, and there wasn't a session we did where he didn't wrap that foot heavily. You know, so it was like, and there's nothing worse when you're training for a big fight like this and you're being hampered by injuries. This is very hard on the mind. You don't really get to train as hard as you can, obviously, because your body just won't do it for you. So, you know, I felt really, I just felt for him during that fight, because I've had a few fights like this where you, you know, you perhaps can't train as hard as you want to train because you're injured, and that's it. So that is true. I just want to reiterate that he genuinely was dealing with a big problem with his left foot for that entire camp. So, you know, it was tough on him in that way as well.
Obviously, you know, Conor never pulls out of fights, and we've seen that before. We think we saw the Aldo fight. You know, the knee was shot as well in that fight. So, listen, does this fight have to happen again? I feel it, though. It's definitely going to happen again. I think, you know, regardless of the outcome of Dustin and Charles Oliveira, I even think Charles, you know, in my opinion, might win that fight with his jiu-jitsu. He's obviously incredible. In my opinion, this fight makes sense for the UFC financially to try and put on again, maybe in Vegas next July, somewhere like that, if Conor's back to full health by then in the stadium, which will be insane in Allegiant Stadium. Do you think this is going to be the next move for Conor, or just settle it once and for all against Dustin? Because we can't really leave it like that, the way he finished the last fight, Peter.
No, I think so. And I think that's the fight he wants, from what I can understand. You know him.
Yeah.
He will want to fight the guy who beat him or whatever. If he feels like there's a score to settle, he'll settle it. He's not someone to shy away from a challenge. So he will definitely want this. And I'm sure, like you said, for all the other reasons, Dustin will want it as well for the money, and the UFC will want it as well. So I think all the parties will be interested in this again. I think we will see it again. And I want to see it again as well, because I think Conor's a better fighter. I know I'm going to say this. People won't take too much, whatever, me saying this, I'm his friend, but I do genuinely think he's the better fighter, and I think he will win if he prepares correctly and he can really dedicate himself and put his best performance forward. I think that's his best performance is better than Dustin's best performance, in my opinion. I
think we're going to see it again anyway. In my opinion, I think the UFC will try and book it for next year sometime in the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. That would be absolutely incredible. Wild stuff. Listen, Peter, a world title shot after an exclamation victory over Patricky Pitbull. 2022, Perfect. a big year for you, right?
Let's do it. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to give everything I have. I can tell you that, Noel. I'm just going to be like a man possessed in that arena. I'm just going to be trying to kill him. I'm just going to literally try and kill him. I swear to God. I'm just going to, this is it. You know, I'm just like, I can't even explain to you how excited I am about this. I've never been as excited about a fight as this one. And I was never as excited about a fight as the last one. And the other part of it is, it means a lot. And also, again, I don't want to be too patting him on the back too much, but I'm just I really get so buzzed fighting guys like this who are going to fight you and like in
your backyard as well, in the 3 Arena.
Yeah, it's going to be even better this time, because the last one was weird, Noel. It was like it was in the Mohegan Sun, but it was empty. So when you're walking out, you walk out and they play my song and they play it for 10 seconds. Then I'm in the ring, they stop it, and I'm like, what? And then I'm in the ring and I can hear Big John and Mauro talking and all, and beside me, and I'm just like, this is fucking mad. It was just so weird. You could hear everything in there. It was like a sparring session. That's what it felt like, just empty, and you can hear everyone talking, and it was just weird. It was. You won't
be able to hear really yourself think in November.
Yeah,
Peter,
and he's kind of he seems very excited about coming to Dublin, as they all do, until they're here.
Until they're here. That's it. Honestly, I don't think anyone ever understands how hostile and how intimidating the atmosphere is in the 3 Arena when the crowd get going. I've been to every big event there over the years, and it gets wild. And I think, you know, these guys, they get that sort of when they hear the noise. And do you want the fans to get in his back? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you want that, because, you know, if you were in Brazil, they would be, we know what the Brazilian fans are like as well. Like, so are you urging the fans here to get on his back?
Of course. Think about it that way. If it was in Brazil, I wouldn't be showing any quarter.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, it's fun. It's fun, and he'll expect that, and he won't mind that either, I'm sure. So it's like this is what sports are about. You root for your team or your guy, and you root against the other guy, and that's what makes it so fun. So it's I don't think there'll be any hard feelings from him over that either. So, but that's what he's to expect. That's what he's going to get.
Very much looking forward to, Peter. And listen, best of luck with the fight, and I'm sure I'll speak to you in the arena on the 5th of November. Appreciate the time as always, my man. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Noel. All right.
If you want to see more videos like this, do hit the subscribe button and also the notification button so you don't miss any future updates. You can also catch us on social media and also give the video a thumbs up. It does help. Thanks, guys.